Hi, everybody. Short introduction from my side before we have a more intense introduction about Numa. My name is Philipp von Ditfurth. I'm one of the founders of Apaleo, an open hospitality platform. Most of you would probably attribute property management system to it, but there's a very important difference. It is not only a property management, it is also a store with hundreds of integrated applications. It is a community of more than 1,000 professionals exchanging ideas how to elaborate on their tech stack. And finally, it's a development environment, and those elements will be touched later on. With me is Julius, the Director of Operations of Numa. And although I'm pretty sure that most of you know what Numa is about, the first question, of course, is to tell us a little bit about the particular concept of Numa.
Good morning, everybody. I think we still can say good morning. Thanks for having me, Philip. Numa, we are a 5-year-old hospitality operator from Berlin. And what's so particular about us, we really started with a white canvas and said we want to build a hospitality organization of tomorrow, targeting the guest of tomorrow, building a tech stack for tomorrow. And we started like that. Quite a few non-hospitality people joined the founding team, meaning we were really open to all kind of ideas which are out there. And now we're operating a bit more than 3,000. We have 6,500 rooms under contract in 14 countries in Europe, 5 years old, as already mentioned, and have a complete receptionist digital guest journey, and are able to operate properties profitable from as small as 10 units up to the biggest we have currently is 260 units, actually here in Munich.
So massive and impressive growth. And of course, one question that everyone would have is how was it possible to expand in such a speed, at the same time keeping the team very focused and centralized? So how did, in general, technology enable you to keep that pace and to grow not only in the core market DACH at the beginning, but also into so many different countries throughout Europe in such a short time?
I think besides technology, and I go into that in a moment, focus is really essential. Really have a roadmap, have a plan, where do you want to go, and don't deviate from that despite COVID coming and all those other things that happened over the last couple of years. Technology is the enabler, right? It's your platform. If you have processes around it, if you have automation in it, you can really then focus on how do you take the tech stack further and not how do you maintain the tech stack. I think that's really a key for us and a key learning for me personally. I'm coming from a traditional hospitality background. So I've done the Ritz-Carlton, Marriott times, I've done Mandarin Oriental, Corinthia, etc. So really from the luxury background as well. And I've realized quite quickly that if you enable technology and if you allow technology to do what it does repetitively every day without error, or very little error, then you have the ability to build on top of it. And I think that helped us to really build something, it works, take it, copy, paste it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel in the new property. Or if you open a new market, slight adjustments, but you can then focus on the difference rather than on staggering a sketch. Yeah.
So a little bit of crawl, walk, run, and I think now you are really running a running machine at fast pace. Recently, Numa took over Yays, so it was not a takeover of one single property. It was a takeover of a larger portfolio, probably approximately 500 units in different locations, even in different countries. So how did that work, and how could you quickly flip the whole thing, which is so important for you, the tech stack, the guest experience, and so forth, from the old environment to the one you're using now?
I mean, first of all, Yays was a super interesting portfolio for us because it fitted from a location perspective perfectly to our existing portfolio. We weren't present in the Benelux and French market, and that really enabled our growth in that market. That's why the strategic decision made sense. And also it was a profitable business which wasn't broken. So we were quite eager to take that, get the learning, get the best out of it. We signed the deal, and then we had what we called the discovery phase for 2-3 months, where we really looked at what tech are they using, what is working, how are their processes. And then we quite quickly were able to take our standard tech sets, implement it, and really the guest checked in the evening under the old PMS and checked out in the morning under the new PMS with an invoice from the new legal entity, et cetera, et cetera. And currently we're opening a new hotel around every 10 days across Europe. And you probably imagine that there's a large team. I think we have 2 people who do the tech integration and setup in Numa internally. We have a total team of around 350 employees running 3,500 units, plus a tech team, a real estate team that's all included there already. So technology really is an enabler there.
You mentioned efficiency. We heard a lot about systems of the future. We would maybe extend it to platforms of the future. One of your mantras is cost efficiency should never sacrifice the guest experience. And this balance, having an ideal guest experience, but at the same time, the highest possible level of cost efficiency. How do you keep that balance?
I mean, first of all, we have an average Booking.com rating of 9.0 across the platform, which me as Director Operation are particularly proud of, which I think is something which is a quite good score if you consider like the industry averages for a product like ours, meaning on the guest satisfaction side, we're doing something right. And on the efficiency side, I think really what the key is to look at what's our issue, what's the problem, what's the guest demand, what do our guests want. Does it exist in the market, yes or no? If it doesn't exist in the market, we build it ourselves. So we are therefore a tech development company as well. If it exists in the market, we'll take that and we merge it. And with an open platform solution like Apaleo we are working with, that makes it much easier because you have your API connections, you can connect it, you can really say, I want these content, these data points to be transferred and really integrate it into one seamless experience rather than copy-pasting silo information infrastructure.
So it's truly about off-the-shelf versus own solutions. It's also underlining why we see the importance not only to offer a system, but also to really be taken as a development environment, make it open, create a community of developers around it, and even make it possible to exchange on, for example, automations, where you act as a very good example, but many other hoteliers as well. All of them are keen to share the experience, what automation they build. The competition is not so much on the technology, that the competition is on product, on guest experience, and these things. And the openness to exchange about their experience is really playing into that platform principle. And at the end, using technology and making these things possible is also to increase revenue. So one thing is the operational excellence. The other thing is where are in a almost, let's say, in a digital guest experience like Numa, where the ideal guest journey is without human touchpoint. There are still human touchpoints, but the ideal guest journey, I would say, is without dedicated human touchpoints. How did you identify and how did you leverage upsell opportunities in such an environment, in such a guest journey?
I always like to give one example, and that's a couple is arriving with their child to the hotel and wanting last minute an extra bed or a baby bed, right? So how would this work normally? It's a call to reception. The reception called somebody in housekeeping. Housekeeping then needs to go into the warehouse to see, or in the storage room to see if we still have an extra bed or a baby bed. Needs to then ask a porter to deliver it, and then it's set up, and the entire process needs 2 hours. Right? That's reality. And I mean, we looked at this and said, okay, this can't be the solution, especially in our setup where we don't have the manpower on the ground in every property all the time, right? So what do we do now? We interact most with our guests via WhatsApp. The guest basically just says, I'd like to have an extra bed or a baby bed. We do the upsell in WhatsApp via a chatbot. Yes, sure, you can book it, costs only 15 euros more a night. Do you agree? Yes, it's directly charged to the portfolio and to the respective credit card. And the chatbot will automatically create a task in our back-of-house app for the housekeeper to deliver the bed. So there's nobody physically taking up the phone, transporting information, informing somebody else. It's done automatically, and then the respective housekeeping partner has a pop-up in their app, please bring the extra bed to room 501, and says it's completed. And on the same time, we have inventory in the property, how many beds do we have, and the inventory is respectively deducted. So this is completely automated. The only real human interaction is the guest entering it into the app and the cleaner or the housekeeping partner delivering it and approving in the app that it was done. The rest is completely automated, and it has generated an upsell. And I think this is prime examples how you can leverage technology if it's all interacted, if the interfaces are there to really work seamless across the guest journey. And this is one example everybody can relate to. The same with breakfast, with late checkouts, with prior to arrival rooms upgrades, etc. This is all possible without somebody actively processing the requests.
And I can say from the property management side, of course, we are receiving automatically the charges. It's on the invoice is automated. And so it's really an integrated environment of what you have built, what you have thought of the components that work into it, so that it really works towards a total seamless experience. And for those who still run concepts with more staff on site, you can imagine how much time is freed from the staff. So whatever attention you can give to the guest, it is not deviated, it's not distracted by administrative work, because this kind of automation is needed by everyone, and nobody wants to kind of do this administrative work, but rather use the saved time for this random act of kindness, that whenever you have a touch point with a guest, that you can fully concentrate on making the guest experience even better. And this is something where the systems and the concepts like the ones that you designed can well play into each other.
Yeah, technology is an enabler, right? And in our business model, it enables us to be more efficient than many other operators, and in other business models which are more staffed, have more staff, it probably enables you to dedicate more time to the on-site guest interaction. Yeah, I think that's something we shouldn't underestimate in all those conversations.
Yeah. When we talk about revenue, it's also about revenue management. Now, having access to all the data, having at least to a certain extent, a special concept, you might not have, or you did not find a suitable revenue management solution. How did you approach this area? How do you yield? How do you think yielding revenue management is playing into your story?
I think there are great revenue management solutions out there, right? That upfront. Why did we decide to do it ourselves? Because we have a particular business model which we're not offering traditional hotel rooms, we're also offering larger apartments with 2 or 3 bedrooms in the middle of Barcelona with a kitchen in it. So it's a very diverse mix of inventory, and they all have different costs associated, different lengths of stay, different target audiences, etc. And we didn't find a revenue solution which really catered to all of that. And we wanted to really use data to maximize it, not only from a revenue maximization perspective, but from a bottom line costs, including cost profit maximization. So things like looking at pickup curves for Sundays, where you have Sunday surcharge in many European countries for cleaning costs, right? If it's outsourced. So looking at those pickup curves, when does it make sense to drop your rates to generate volume? When does it make sense to not sell the rooms at all, keep them out of order and only clean them on Monday because you don't see the demand coming in? When does it make sense to sell additional late checkouts? All those things to have it really data-driven, property by property, automated. I think that's our opportunities which we didn't want to miss, and hence we decided to build a logic and algorithm, etc., for pricing and price variations ourselves.
So to wrap it up, maybe also from your side, as we heard in the last session, what is it that we think are systems / platforms of the future, but also maybe an outlook from your side where you see with the use of technology, where you see the market going and your concept further evolving?
I think the market is super dynamic right now. There's more and more hospitality players who really see the opportunity to build up a new tech stack, and I can just encourage everybody do it, right? It's not rocket science anymore. It's not requiring a downtime of your operation for a couple of days. Doesn't require a massive upfront investment into a tech infrastructure because most of the things are in the cloud nowadays. So right? I think that's really important to say. And where does it go? Personally, I believe they are great off-the-shelf solutions, but every business is different, and that's also the exciting thing about our industry. Every product, every hotel, every lodging facility has its own charm, its own operational model, its own driver, and there is not a tech solution out there which fits all. So build something yourself, and that's much easier if you use platforms which are open source, or at least systems which offer you a certain flexibility to adapt to your specific needs. Yeah. So those are the 2 points. And then the third one, I really liked the work-life balance aspect from the previous conversation. I think for me personally, and as you can imagine, opening something around 90 hotels in less than 5 years and opening a new hotel every 10 days, I tend to be quite busy. What I personally want to give advice is find a hobby, find something where you can focus on, which you do with passion, and do your job with passion also. Because if you do something you're not passionate for, you will never exceed, and then you are the ladder, to use that analogy. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Julius. And let's go for lunch, I guess, is the next bridge to the next topic. We're well on time, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks a lot.